Okay, how is it now?
It looks good. We can see it.
Just my screen, just a PowerPoint.
Yes, just
Awesome.
about.
So we'll start off. I'll start off by introducing myself. My name is Ryan. I'm one of the senior leads with Mind Body Medicine, and I'm currently in my clinical rotations at Trinity in Michigan. And also with me today, we have Kashmir Foley, and I'll have her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kashmir Foley. I'm also a senior lead of Mind Body Medicine, actually, the basic sciences portion here in Barbados at Ross. So, yes, I am now in fourth semester, Gen U, and yes, all things Mind Body Medicine I love. So, it's nice to meet you all.
Awesome. Thank you. And so, first off, I want to thank you for being here today and for making the time for yourself. Medical school is a journey. It's intense with long hours and a lot of uncertainty about the future and what's to come. And so, I want today to be more about focusing on how to manage stress so that it doesn't manage us, if that makes sense. So let's get started. Alrighty, so the goal of today is simple. I simply want to spend the hour so that you leave here with three practical tools that you can start to use immediately. With rotations, whether you're studying or life outside of medicine. And so, what we will be doing is understanding the stress response that our bodies go through, practice some breathing reset and different techniques, learning how to reframe stress so that we can ultimately prevent burnout. All right, and so I put together a little roadmap of what today is going to look like for the next hour. So we'll start with a quick check-in and understand, then we'll understand our body's response, the stress response. And after that, we'll practice some soft belly breathing. And then we'll work through some reframing exercises. And lastly, we'll end with like a burnout framework so that we can ultimately prevent burnout. And finally, we're going to reflect. And so to start, let's do in the chat. Tell me what stresses you the most right now. Could be exams or studying, clinical rotations, time management, sleep or burnout, or personal life balance. And if anyone knows how to get a poll running, or we can just use a chat, I'll try to figure out the poll. So, as you can see, most of us are carrying something, and that's why sessions like this matter. If we got applying for residency, that's real. I can relate. A lot of stress there. And then we got exams, studying, 100%. And what's going on with personal life, and then even family health and wellness. Thank you for sharing. And does anyone have anything to say? All right, we'll move on. So, when we experience stress, say there's an exam or you're being asked questions on rounds, or relationship stress, or just feeling overwhelmed, your brain interprets whatever it is as a challenge, as like a threat. And so, one of the key areas in our bodies that's involved, specifically in our brain, is the hypothalamus. Think of it like your body's stress alarm system. Once it's activated, it sends signals that lead to the release of stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. And so adrenaline is what gives us the immediate response. So, for example, your heart rate racing or your breathing being really fast, and we become a lot more alert. Now, cortisol is more of a long-term stress hormone. So, in small amounts, it helps us stay focused and productive. And next slide. So, when the stress response is brief, as short term, it is a good thing and it could be adaptive. The problem is when it stays on all day, every day. That's when we start to become exhausted. And so that's when you start to see the increase in the heart rate, the difficulty in concentration, poor sleep, and emotional exhaustion, and eventually burnout. And so the point I want to make is that we shouldn't be shaming stress, because stress is part of life, part of medical school. The goal is to recognize when we're staying activated and in that stress environment without recovery. And so the main thing I want you all to reframe is to understand that stress is not the enemy. Chronic unmanaged stress is. We cannot always control the stressors. Whatever is coming at us, that's not under our control. But what we can control and influence is our nervous system's response to whatever is coming our way. Understand that recovery is not something we only earn after exams or rotations. You know how people say, oh, after that exam, after that class, after that one time, then I'll be happy. It'll never happen. Recovery is part of the process, and it's what lets us keep going. So, a question I had for all of you. What is one thing you do when you feel overwhelmed? And just type in the chat. Alrighty. So in the chat, we got a few responses like listening to music. Just calms you down. I love it. Or going to the gym. That's a big one. Maybe going for a walk. Very relaxing. And just taking a break to clear your mind. I love eating sweets. Nothing better than eating sweets. And then just talking to a friend or your parents, whatever you're going through, knowing that you are not alone. And so having someone to talk to is always a good thing. And even therapy. Alrighty, so the first tool that I want to introduce to you guys to help, say, communicate to your nervous system that things will be okay is the first one is breathing. It's actually one of the fastest ways to communicate safety to your nervous system. And so this was actually something we practiced before clinical rotations when we were on island, and we wanted to bring it back because it's so simple and easy to use whenever you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed. Specifically, soft belly breathing. It's useful when you want to calm your body, release tension, and just reconnect with the present moment. You can use it before walking into a patient room when you're on your rotations. You can use it before an exam, or even while sitting in a car before clinic. And so just know that the soft belly breathing doesn't require a perfect environment. It only requires you to slow down and to take a pause. And so I'll leave it to Kashmir.
So, thank you, Ryan. So, as Ryan stated, we do use soft belly breathing a lot. Actually, for every one of our meditations on island, every one of our events, just to get that moment to slow down, to take a pause, as he stated, and just to reset. So now we're going to go into a soft belly guided practice, so we can just take that moment and take that pause. So I'm just gonna ask you to close your eyes for a moment, or if you want to just gaze down at the ground, get in a comfortable position. If that's sitting for you, if that's laying, please feel free to do so. And we're gonna use this for grounding ourselves, pausing, and settling right now. So just go ahead and lower your gaze. Please let your shoulders relax, let your jaw unclench, and let your belly soften. Bring your attention to your abdomen. Inhale, exhale. As you inhale, allow your belly to gently rise. Inhale, exhale. As you exhale, allow your belly to soften. We're going to inhale, exhale. You don't have to force deep breaths. You don't have to force your breath. Just allow your belly to be soft. On this inhale, silently say to yourself, soft. On the exhale, we're going to silently say belly. Inhale, soft. Exhale, belly. Once again, inhale, soft. Exhale, belly. If your mind begins to wander, that is completely normal. Just gently bring your attention back to your breath and your phrase. Inhale, soft. Exhale, belly. Let your breath be normal. Once again, let your jaw unclench. Inhale, soft. Exhale, belly. And on this one, we're going to inhale peace and exhale stress. Inhale, peace. Exhale, stress. Let your shoulders drop. Feel your belly soft. We'll take a few more breaths here. Inhale, soft. Exhale, belly. Inhale, soft. Exhale, belly. Inhale, peace. Exhale, stress. And when you're ready, slowly bring your attention back to the room. Thank you, everyone, for allowing me to guide you through that practice. I hope in your moments of stress, you can use this, moments where you just need to take a pause, please.
Anything else? You're all good, Kashmir? Awesome.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I needed that. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Alrighty. So next exercise I wanted to practice is stress reframing. So understand that medical students often, what's the word, catastrophize or exaggerate whatever they're going through. Like we can take any one point in time and turn it into a whole story about our entire future. And so stress often comes from how we interpret whatever situation we're going through. And so here's the framework, as you can see. We have a situation that leads to a thought, and that leads to an emotion. And here you see an example. So say the situation you're going through, you fail a practice exam. The thought you have, I'm not good enough. The emotion that develops, anxiety. And so what we need to practice is reframing. And that doesn't mean pretending that everything is fine and, like la-di-da-di. But with reframing, it means choosing a more balanced thought, something that's still true, but a lot more useful. And so let's practice. So think about one stressful situation you had this week. What is one negative thought that you had? You can write it privately or drop it in the chat if you're comfortable. All right, so those are real. Feeling overwhelmed with all the responsibilities that we have and having a difficult exam and knowing you missed some easy questions, not fun. And so, easy way to spiral down and continue having negative thoughts. But I also gave an example here. Say you're thinking I'm behind everyone. And so when I talk about reframing, stating it in a more beneficial way to you, understanding that I'm on my own time and I'm improving every week. So the goal is not fake positivity. It is accurate, balanced thinking. I hope that makes sense. Or before going on, I want to practice with you guys. How can you reframe the couple of responses or negative thoughts we just had in the chat? I'll wait for a response. Alrighty. So for the thought about feeling overwhelmed with all the responsibilities, we had the reframe of saying, even though there's a lot on my plate, I'm blessed to be so involved in the activities and facilitating personal growth. Wow, I felt better just reading that. I don't know about you. And then the other comment about having a difficult exam and feeling that they may have missed some easy questions, reframing it to even though the exam was difficult, it was one exam and I had the ability to do better and to focus in more and on smaller concepts for the next one. So understanding that there's always room for growth and improvement, and that is exactly what's going to happen. You're going to get better and you're going to never get it wrong again. That's why we take exams. Or so I like to believe. And so the third tool, the third and final tool, the burnout prevention framework. And so understanding that there's three pillars of resilience. The first thing I want to point out is physical regulation, and that encompasses your sleep, your exercise, and your nutrition. You cannot think clearly if your physiology is exhausted. You have to take care of yourself first. And so, second is mental clarity. And what that looks like, focus blocks, taking breaks, and limiting cognitive overload. So, one example here, am sure you have all heard of the Pomodoro effect, taking the 25-minute study session or focusing on whatever needs to be focused on and taking a break. Or sometimes that's not even long enough. So I do 45-minute study blocks and then followed with a 10-minute break. And then third is emotional support. Guys, if you've ever heard medical school was meant to be alone, not true. Because it's not meant to be done alone. You should have study partners, mentors, and people who you can have honest conversations with about the struggles you're going through. And so understand that resilience is not one big thing. It is small recovery habits repeated consistently. Now, what I want to ask all of you is to choose a small habit for the week, something that's realistic for you. Say a 10-minute walk or a 45-minute focus block with a real break, or reaching out to a person when things start to feel overwhelming. And so, a rhetorical question for all of you: who is that someone you can reach out to when things feel overwhelming? All right. So, we're coming to the end. Group reflection. So, what is the one thing, first question, that you do that helps you reset mentally? Share in the chat or speak out loud. In the chat, I love it. We have taking a nap, going for a walk, and even taking a break and then revisiting within an hour or in the next hour. Or, for example, I like to even go out with my wife and grab a bite and just get my mind off of whatever I was focusing on. Next question: what is one habit you want to start this week? All right. So I love it. Going to bed a little earlier than usual. Sometimes, a lot of times, that's what we need. And then another, reframing my mindset and journaling. There's so much power to that, especially journaling and putting into words what you plan to be doing. And then for me, I want to make it a habit to go to the gym 7 days a week. And then finally, drop one word in the chat that represents how you want to feel during this journey. I love it. We got empowered, uplifted, and then balanced, focused, feeling peaceful and grateful. I love it. All right, and this is the end. I want you all to understand that medical school is a marathon. You've heard it so many times. It's not a sprint. The goal is not just to become a physician, but to become a physician that's healthy, resilient, and fulfilled. Small habits practiced consistently can protect your mental health throughout this journey. And so, if you were to take only one thing from today, remember this: your well being is not separate from your success, it is the foundation of it. Thank you, everyone, again for being present. And that is the end.